Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Grateful Queen. I hope everybody is feeling good and looking good. Cause shit, I know I am. So this video is going to be something that is near and dear to my life and my spirit is Afro Latinidad. So first things first, what are we talking about? What is to be an Afro Latina and Afro Latino? So first, I want to go ahead and break it down by terms, and then I'll go ahead and show some videos, and then I'll go and give you some examples of who are some famous Afro Latinos. So first things first, an Afro Latina is a woman of Latin heritage who identifies as being African descent. So for the people that don't know Spanish, Spanish is a very gendered language. So they always have a A if it's female or O for male. And then they have a bunch of other things, like nosotros, vosotros. But grammar is not today's topic. Today's topic is to be Afro Latina. Latin America is diverse and its populations include indigenous, Europeans, Africans. So when we are talking about to be Afro Latina specifically is where you have African influences that are deeply embedded into the culture. So typically from the slave trade or actual descendants of African people. So when I say Afro Latina, it's really easy for people to kind of just break down the two words and be like Latin, okay, you must know Spanish, and then Afro, you mean African or looking like. So I want to let's break down what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the race and the ethnicity. So first, let's define race. So race is a social construct. We all know that, but to really simplify it, it's based on what people look like. What are their characteristics? What are their facial features? What are their colors, their hair texture, their face? For example, black, white, Asian. I think it's like Northern Pacific or Hawaiian. Like they're very specific categories based on what you look like, right? Now, ethnicity, in my opinion, is way more complex. We're talking about the culture, we're talking about the language, we're talking about religion, region, ancestry. And unlike race, which is physical appearance and ethnicity, it really emphasizes the culture of it. So, for example, I'm Dominican, that is my culture. And when we have things that are Afro Latina, you could talk about things like Afro Caribbean. So we have samba or Afro Brazilian, or in my specific case, Dominican people, we have palo. And if you hear palo, it is straight percussion. It is, you could feel it rumble, once you have it on. So it's definitely something that is culture driven. Ethnicity is culture driven. So to do like a quick recap and really simplify it, race is about perceived physical traits. So what do you look like? And then ethnicity is more of the social practices, the shared culture, what you are actually bonded by, I guess. Um, so why do people look so different? I think is typically the question. Depending on where I go, even, people don't know that I am Dominican unless I speak Spanish. People do not assume that I am Spanish or that I am, or they may label me a different ethnicity, like oh, you must be biracial, or you must be Puerto Rican, oh, you must be black, you must be XYZ. And again, the reason why we have such a wide diaspora is for a bunch of different reasons. So we have people that were actually migrated, whether it be for for the transatlantic slave trade, because again, there were millions of people transported and they were dropped off in different places. In the video that I'll show you, they did a really, really good example, and they had a diagram, a map, excuse me. You have colonialism, right? The colonizers. So for example, where I'm from is a really good example of the split between Haiti and Dominican Republic. Haiti was conquered by the French side and actually revolted, and then Dominican Republic from the Spaniards. So that's why they speak Spanish. And then there was cultural blending over the years. So like even the other video that I'm about to show you, you're about to see a homogenized group of people, but you still see such a range from light skin to chocolate to chestnut to caramel to dark, you know? So again, when we think of what is the Afro-Latina, it comes in so many different shapes. So when you think of that term, it's so easy to kind of like, oh, well, it just means this. And it's just like, nah, there's some deep rooted history and ancestry in there. Before I go on to the video, I did want to mention though that there was this really, really great documentary. I believe it's like Black in Latin America. I'll have to look up his name, who does it, but they go into all of these different nations. What's his name? Henry Louis Gates. Okay. Yes. He goes to a bunch of different countries, including Dominican Republic, Haiti, Brazil, Cuba, and you see how indigenous people and people that were dropped off there as part of the slave trade were strategically washed away or washed out because of colonialism, because of all of these huge entities that were conquering that, you know. So to hold on to a piece of who we are is major, is huge. I remember for the longest time, my father, who in my opinion looks like Kimbo Slice. Anybody who knows, they know. Same haircut and everything for years. You know, for the longest time, he would not identify as Black. And I always found that so interesting. But one day he had asked me help with the census, and the census is very particular. It's just like, yo, okay, if you are ethnic, what's your ethnicity? And it's not ethnic by you're Latin, you're white, you're Black. No. Tell us specifically the country, tell us specifically the location, tell us specifically who you identify as, like very particular, not what a lot of applications will say like race or ethnicity, which always grinds my gears. It's not the same thing. Race and ethnicity are completely different. Like I mentioned, race is perceived on quote unquote looks versus your actual culture. So when I think of like breaking down what that actually means to somebody's identity, that shit is crucial. So to just kind of mask it off as one or the other is, again, you are separating yourself from that identity. So to go back to my father, I remember like doing a process of elimination. Like, are you white? Are you Hawaiian? Are you Asian? Are you Black? And he was just like, I guess out of all those, I must be. And again, because of all of these major historical washing out, it's easy for you to separate yourself with your own humanity, culture, history. So thank you for listening to me, and let's go ahead and watch some videos. And shout out to these content creators. I left their tag there so that way you could see it. Let me go ahead and add it to the stage and we will react to it.
Let's talk about it. So we're looking at a picture of Latin America. 15 times the number of African slaves that were taken to the US were actually taken here as well. Also in this tiny little corner is the Caribbean islands and Puerto Rico and Cuba. So in present day, we have a mixture of these people that are from the Latin countries or live in the Latin countries, but they have the African descent. Ethnically, they're Latino, but their race is Black.
She was like speed talking. I love it. She got straight to the point. All right. And then I'm going to show this video and then we will call it a wrap.
Is known for being one of the more homogenous countries in the Americas, the majority of the population being mestizo or indigenous. However, around 0.16% of the population claims Atlantic African ancestry. The arrival of their ancestors begins around the 1520s to assist the Spanish in settling their new territories after the conquest of the Nawa people in Mexico and El Salvador. And they came from countries in Central Africa, such as Congo, DR Congo, and Angola, as well as countries in Upper Guinea, such as Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. leaving cultural impacts similar to Guatemala's, such as a marimba and conga, and their genetic imprint, with many Salvadorans having between 5 to 10% African ancestry. Unfortunately, this genetic imprint has largely been shunned, especially after slavery was abolished. However, more is being done to make sure there's an appreciation of African ancestry amongst Salvadorans at home and worldwide. Should have follow and like.
I love the music in the background. I hope that that doesn't get tagged or anything. So one thing before I go, I wanted to mention a couple of famous Afro-Latina and Latinx. That's why they made that term. Hello. Famous Latinx. Now, I'm going to, all right, I have it up. So I'm just going to say them verbally. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, bet. So we have people like, oh, there we go. Gallery. We love that. All right, so we have people like Cristina Milian. We have people like Amara La Negra. My favorite, Celia Cruz, iconic. We also have people like Jarrell Jerome, who was in the New York Five, correct me if I'm wrong, from Ava DuVernay. And then we also have people like Tego Calderon, Grammy Award winner. We have Victor Cruz, who was a former basketball player. Correct me if I'm wrong again. Yaya Da Costa. She was from America's Next Top Model and has become a magnificent actress. Speaking of magnificent actress, actually a Golden Globe winner, Zoe Saldana. So there are so many talented people that have such a rich background, and to kind of define what Afro-Latina or Afro-Latinx is really dope. So I hope you watch this video. If you made it to the end of the video, please drop a comment below. What was your favorite part? Did you learn anything? Do you want to teach me anything? And please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. I'm going to do some editing. Yeah. get in my little editing bag, and then I'm gonna go ahead and upload this video. So I hope everybody is feeling good and looking good. Damn, I just clapped in front of the microphone. I hope that did not sound shitty, but I hope everybody's feeling good and looking good, because shit, I know I am. Bye.